The Trinary had seen war before, but never like this. When they sent the distress call, they had expected slow hell, maybe a few ships, maybe a promise. But what arrived from Earth was not help. It was judgment. The humans didn't come in shiny fleets. They didn't play music or send messages of peace. They arrived in black ships, small, fast, and silent. Each ship moved like a hunter. No lights, no signals, no fear. The Trinary stood at the edge of their capital, watching as the first human unit landed. The dropship touched down with a heavy sound, dust flying in all directions. A ramp opened. 5 humans stepped out. They wore black armor that looked almost alive. Their helmets covered their faces. Weapons were attached to their backs. Not plasma rifles or energy guns like the Trinary knew, but strange metal tools with sharp edges and glowing parts. One of the humans stepped forward. He was taller than the others. His voice came through the helmet, calm and cold. "You asked for help. We are here." The Trinary leader, a soft-spoken elder named Virel, tried to welcome them. "We are honored that Earth has come." "We." The human cut him off. "Stay out of our way." Before Virel could answer, the human pointed at the sky. "They're coming." Karn ships dropped from orbit like meteors. The ground shook. Trinary guards raised their weapons, preparing for another hopeless battle. But the humans didn't move. Then, in perfect silence, they vanished. The Trinary blinked in shock. The humans had disappeared. No flash, no sound, nothing. Seconds later, the Karn attack began. The sky turned red as fire and plasma poured down. Karn soldiers landed in heavy armor, their faces full of hunger and cruelty. They had crushed worlds, eaten cities, burned forests. They had no fear of this weak little race, until the first Karn screamed. It wasn't a battle cry. It was pain. The Trinary watched in shock as Karn troops began to fall, one by one, in silence, with no clear attacker. Something was moving through them. Something fast, something precise. One Karn soldier raised his weapon, aiming blindly into the trees. A sharp object pierced his helmet. He fell without a sound. Then the humans appeared again, not as an army, but like ghosts. One dropped from a tree, slicing through 2 Karns with a blade that hummed with blue energy. Another leaped from the shadows, using a strange pulse tool to freeze a squad in place. They didn't speak. They didn't shout. They moved like death itself. Virel stood frozen. This wasn't war. This was something else. The humans didn't fight for glory or power. They fought like creatures born in fire and raised in pain. Later, after the first wave was crushed, the Trinary tried to thank them. "We are alive because of you," Virel said, trembling. The same human leader replied, removing his helmet. His face was hard, marked with scars, his eyes cold. "You're alive because we're still angry." Virel didn't understand. At the Karn, the human shook his head. At the galaxy, he looked up toward the stars. "You all watched us die for centuries, called us monsters, labeled our home a death world. But now that your skies burn, you come begging." His voice dropped lower. "We don't say for kindness. We come for balance." The Trinary didn't reply. They didn't know how to. The next day, the humans moved to the next city. They didn't wait for thanks. They didn't accept food or rest. They only asked one thing from the Trinary. "Tell no one what you've seen." "Not yet." Virel agreed, but he knew it wouldn't last. Someone would talk. Someone always did. And when the galaxy heard what Earth was doing, how they'd fought, how they destroyed the Karn, fear would spread faster than the war. In space, aboard one of the human ships, a commander named Keller watched the battle logs. He studied each kill, each movement, each breath. "They're adapting fast," he said to his second in command. "Every fight, they learn." His officer asked, "You mean the Karn?" Keller shook his head. "No, I mean us. On Earth, no leaders gave orders. No countries claimed control. The Deathworlders moved as one, not through law, but through rage. They had not forgotten the way the galaxy turned its back on them, how they were isolated, feared, ignored. But now, Earth was no longer quiet. It had sent its fury into space, and it had only just begun. The Trinari had begged for help. Their cities were burning, their sky filled with enemy ships. The Karn Empire showed no mercy. They destroyed homes, hunted civilians, and laughed while doing it. The Trinari, a peaceful alien race, had no soldiers. They had always believed in diplomacy, but now they were nearly extinct. When they sent out their last desperate message, they expected no reply. But one came, from a planet the galaxy feared, Earth. The Trinari had only heard stories of humans, dangerous, unstable, survivors from a death world. The galaxy had isolated Earth long ago. Most civilizations wanted nothing to do with them. But now, Earth was coming. The Trinari leaders gathered in the capital city, watching the skies. A dark ship entered orbit. It didn't match any known design. No flags, no colors, just black steel and sharp edges. It landed without warning in the middle of the city. The ramp opened slowly. 5 humans walked out. They were tall, silent, and fully armored. Black suits covered their bodies, and helmets hid their faces. No smiles, no greetings. One human stepped forward. His voice came through a speaker. It was flat, emotionless. You asked for help. Stay out of the way. The Trinari leader, Elder Varel, tried to speak. We are grateful for your arrival. The human cut him off. This is not about thanks. It's about war. The Trinari had never seen such coldness. But they had no choice. The Karn were coming again. And soon. That night, the Karn ships entered the atmosphere. The Trinari prepared for the worst. Their people huddled in shelters, their last defense lines activated. But the humans had vanished. They were gone. No trace. The Karn forces landed in full strength. Heavily armed soldiers marched through the streets. They expected another easy victory. They laughed as they kicked down doors. Then the first scream came. A Karn soldier was pulled into the shadows. No gunfire. No sound. Just gone. Another one collapsed, a blade driven through his armor. The rest turned confused. They fired into the dark, shouting orders. But nothing helped. The humans had returned. They didn't fight like normal soldiers. They moved like ghosts. Fast, silent, deadly. One human jumped from a rooftop and slammed into a Karn group. His weapon wasn't a gun. It was a spear that crackled with energy. It sliced through armor like paper. Another human appeared behind a Karn tank, planted a device, and vanished. Seconds later, the tank exploded into fire. The Trinari watched from hiding, shocked. This wasn't war. This was a hunt. The humans worked in perfect silence. No shouting, no panic, only calm, brutal action. Every Karn soldier that tried to fight died. In just 1 hour, the entire Karn force was wiped out. At dawn, the city was quiet. Smoke rose from broken buildings, but the people were alive. The humans returned to the center square. Blood stained their armor. One of them removed his helmet. He was pale, with cold blue eyes and a scar across his face. His expression did not change. Elder Varel approached carefully. You saved us. The human didn't smile. We eliminated the threat. Why? Varel asked. Why help us now? The human looked toward the rising sun. You asked for help, and we were waiting for someone to ask. Another human spoke up, a woman with dark eyes and a steady voice. The galaxy left us alone for centuries, feared us, called us monsters. But when real monsters came, you called for us. Varel didn't know what to say. The human continued. We are not here to be heroes. We're here because someone must be willing to do what others can't. The Trineri were silent. The fear they had once felt about humans was still there, but now mixed with something else. Respect. Later that day, a message was sent to the nearby Trineri colonies. The humans had moved on to the next city under attack. No demands, no payment, just destruction of every Karn unit in their path. They didn't ask for praise. They didn't stay for thanks. They came. They fought. They vanished. But one thing was clear. The Deathworlders had returned, and they were angry. The war was spreading. The Karn Empire, once laughing and confident, was no longer silent. After the humans destroyed their forces in 3 cities, the Karn sent out their own message, not to ask for help, but to threaten. "We see your shadows," the message said, "and we will burn them." The Trineri feared what would come next, but the humans, they were waiting. Commander Reyes, leader of the human strike teams, stood in the ruins of a Karn base. He looked at the bodies around him, each one killed without mercy. "They're changing," he said. His second-in-command, Mara, nodded. "The Karn are adapting. They sent better armor this time, heavier troops." Reyes kicked over a Karn rifle. Still not enough. But something felt wrong. The fights were getting stranger, quieter. In the last battle, Karn soldiers didn't scream or shout. They moved like machines, cold, controlled, like someone else was pulling the strings. That night, as the humans prepared for the next strike, a scout returned with strange news. "There's something in the mountains," he said. "Not Karn. Something else." The team followed him deep into the northern hills, where no Trineri cities stood. Just ruins, ancient ones, hidden. They found a Karn base built around a dark structure, not metal, but stone, carved with symbols no one could read. The humans entered carefully, weapons ready. Inside, they found silence, but not peace. The air was cold, too cold. The kind of cold that touched your bones. And the shadows moved, not like animals, not like people. They moved like thoughts, sliding along walls, across the floor, through the air. Mara raised her scanner. "No life signs," she whispered. "Then what are we seeing?" Reyes asked. Then the whispering began. Not from speakers, not from mouths. From inside their heads. "You think you're strong. You are meat, fire, rage. You will burn." One of the soldiers screamed, grabbing his helmet. He dropped to his knees. "Stop the voice," he shouted. The team pulled him back. Reyes ordered everyone out. They left the structure fast, retreating to the cold night air. Behind them, the shadows faded, but the whisper stayed. Later, in their ship, the human team reviewed the recordings. The stone structure wasn't Karn-built. It was older, far older. And the shadows inside weren't natural. "These aren't just enemies," Mara said. "They're weapons. Or worse," Reyes replied. "They're alive." The Trineri had no answers, but they shared an old legend, something spoken by their ancestors. A story of a race that came before, known only as the Deep Ones. They didn't conquer with fire. They conquered with fear, with control, with silence. They slipped into minds, took memories, made armies. The Karn may not be fully Karn anymore. Reyes stared at the map of the war zone. The Karn attacks were growing slower, less chaotic, more focused. "They're being guided," he said. Mara looked at him. "So what do we do?" Reyes didn't blink. "We do what humans do. We hunt the thing behind it." That night, the humans launched a new mission. Not to save a city, but to capture a Karn general alive. It was dangerous. No one had done it before. Karn generals fought to the death, always. But the humans had a plan. They waited at the edge of a fallen city, pretending to retreat. When the Karn commander came forward, surrounded by troops, the humans attacked from every direction. The fight was fast, violent, and for the first time, they took one alive. They'd brought the Karn commander into a sealed chamber, locked in chains. But he didn't struggle. He didn't even speak. He just smiled. Reyes entered the room. "Who are you?" he asked. No answer. "What are the shadows?" he demanded. The Karn commander looked up. His eyes were glowing black. "We are what comes after," he said, in a voice that didn't belong to him. Reyes stepped back. "You're not Karn." The creature laughed, a dry, cold sound. "You burn so brightly, but fire always dies." Suddenly, the lights flickered. The air dropped in temperature. The shadows in the room moved again. Then the Karn's head snapped backward, and he died. No poison, no attack, just dead. Cut off. Mara entered behind Reyes. "It didn't want him to talk," she said. "No," Reyes replied. "It used him like a puppet." He turned to his team. "We're not fighting a species. We're fighting something deeper, older. It's using the Karn, and it knows we're here." Outside, the stars burned cold. The war was no longer just about saving the Trineri. It was about something bigger, something hiding in the dark. And the humans, the Deathworlders, were the only ones willing to face it. The truth was clear now. The humans were not fighting the Karn Empire anymore. At least, not fully. Something else was behind the war. Something old, dark, and hiding in the shadows. It had taken control of the Karn. It whispered through them. It killed to stay hidden. Commander Reyes and his team returned to the Trineri capital with the dead Karn general. The Trineri were afraid, but the humans were calm. They had seen fear before. Earth was full of it. They had learned how to fight it, how to walk through it. Reyes called a meeting with all human commanders across the sector. The video screen filled with faces, tired, strong, alert. He spoke clearly. "The real enemy is not the Karn. It is something inside them. A hidden force. Ancient. We need to find out where it came from." One of the commanders, an older woman named Steele, nodded slowly. "Then we use protocol. Awakening." Everyone went quiet. Even Mora, standing beside Reyes, looked concerned. "Are we sure? That tech hasn't been touched in decades." "We don't have time," Reyes said. "Whatever is hiding in the Karn is spreading. Fast. Protocol." Awakening was one of Earth's darkest secrets. Long ago, during Earth's worst wars, human scientists built machines that could reach deep into a being's mind, reading thoughts, memories, and even dreams. But the machines were banned. Too dangerous. Too painful. Some said they changed people, broke them. Now, one of those machines, an echo core, was hidden in an old human outpost on a dead moon called Varga 9. No one had visited it in 30 years. The humans prepared a small team. Reyes, Mara, and 3 other specialists flew in a black ship, silent and fast. The Trineri watched them leave, their eyes full of fear and hope. The trip to Varga 9 was short, but the silence inside the ship was heavy. No one spoke. No one smiled. They all knew what they were walking into. When they landed, the moon was dark. Dust covered the ground. No light. No wind. Only an old steel door half buried in rock. The team entered the outpost. Inside, everything was still working. The power core glowed faint blue. Earth tech, built to last. They moved through the hallways until they found the echo room. In the center stood a strange chair surrounded by metal arms and floating screens. It looked more like a torture machine than a tool. Mara checked the systems. "It still works," she whispered. "But we need a subject." Reyes nodded. "We brought one." The humans had captured a second Karn. Not a commander, but a scout. He was sedated, tied down. He didn't resist. His eyes were empty. They placed him in the echo chair. Machines locked around his head. Lights blinked. Energy flowed. "Start," Reyes said. The machine powered up. A low hum filled the room. On the screens, images appeared. Broken memories, whispers of thoughts. The Karn's mind was messy, twisted. But then, something pushed back. The lights flickered. The screens turned black. Then a message appeared, written in strange letters. Earth language, but reversed. You cannot stop what was made before your son. The room went cold. The Karn's body began to shake. His mouth opened wide. And a deep, strange voice came through him. You are fire. Fire dies. We are the void. Mara tried to shut down the system. Nothing responded. Kill the power. Reyes shouted. One of the soldiers fired at the core. Sparks flew. The chair went dark. The Karn collapsed. Dead. Silence. Then the screen showed one last message. You have seen us. Now we see you. Everyone stood still. The darkness that had lived in the Karn had just reached back. Back through the machine. Back to Earth. They had awakened something. Back on the ship, Mara said quietly, we shouldn't have used the machine. Reyes answered, we had to know what we're facing. And now it knows us, she said. When they returned to the Trinary capital, things had already changed. Karn ships were no longer just attacking. They were searching, looking for something. And worse, they were faster, smarter, like they had learned. The Trinary were scared, but they still trusted the humans, even if they didn't understand them. One young Trinary girl looked up at Mara and asked, are you afraid? Mara paused, then smiled softly. Yes, but fear isn't the end. On Earth, we learned to carry fear like a weapon. The girl didn't understand, but she nodded anyway. That night, the human leaders met again. We've touched something older than war, Commander Steele said. This enemy, it doesn't want land or power. It wants silence. To erase thought, to control life. Reyes looked at them all. Then we have to do what no one else can. He opened a file called Project Vengeance. This isn't about saving the Trinary anymore. This is about saving every voice in the galaxy. He looked out the window toward the stars. They wanted help. He clenched his fist. They called the Deathworlders. The sky was no longer quiet. Across the stars, Karn ships spread like a plague, hunting everything in their path. Colonies burned. Stations vanished. Signals stopped. The enemy didn't just destroy bodies. It erased voices, thoughts, even memories. Entire worlds went dark, as if they had never existed. But Earth was not silent. And Earth was not afraid. Commander Reyes stood in the main war room of the human flagship Hammerfall. Giant screens showed the growing invasion. Red dots filled the map like blood. The time for defense is over, he said. We strike back. The room was filled with silence. Then Commander Steele stood. Where do we hit? Reyes tapped the screen. A strange symbol appeared, something the Echo Core had revealed. Not a location, a direction. Deep space, far beyond the edge of any known star systems. We follow the shadow's trail. We burn it at the root. The humans called the mission Project Burn. They gathered the best warriors, the fastest ships, and the strongest AI minds Earth could send. They did not bring diplomats. They did not bring peace offerings. They brought fire. Mara led the Black Spear unit. The elite fighters trained for silent, brutal war. They had seen what the shadows could do to minds. Now they wore upgraded helmets with psychic dampeners and neural shields. No more whispers, no more tricks. The fleet left orbit in complete silence. No broadcasts, no light. Just cold ships moving like sharks through the dark sea of space. Days passed. Then they found it. A planet hidden in the shadows of a dying star. It had no name, no signal, no heat. But the readings were strange. Life signs, hundreds, maybe thousands, but all wrong. Like echoes, like memories that should not exist. The fleet prepared to land. As soon as the first human ship touched the ground screamed. Not sound, not voice, but pure pressure, the kind that made your bones hurt. Some Trinary observers collapsed, but the humans held their ground. They were used to pain. Black Spear entered the ruins of a Karn temple built over something far older. They moved through the dark hallways, weapons ready. The walls were covered in carvings, not written language, but symbols of mouths, eyes, and chains. Suddenly, one soldier stopped. I hear them. His teammates froze. Voices of people I knew. My brother, my mother. Mara turned fast. Put him down. The others hesitated. Then the soldier's eyes turned black. Too late. He attacked, fast and screaming, like a wild animal. They had to end him. No one spoke after that. At the heart of the temple, they found it. A massive black core pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. It wasn't metal. It was alive. From its surface rose a face. No features, just outlines of something pretending to be human. Reyes entered with the second team. He looked at it and said, "Are you the mind behind the Karn?" The face moved without moving. A voice echoed in their minds. "We are not behind. We are beneath. Always." Mara raised her weapon. "You're a parasite, feeding on thought." The voice replied, "You burn so bright. You will make a fine silence." Reyes smiled coldly. "You talk too much for something that wants quiet." He gave the signal. Earth's engineers had brought a bomb. Not just any bomb, but a silence breaker. A weapon built to destroy psychic networks. A weapon forbidden by the Galactic Union. A weapon humans had designed for one reason: to kill the unkillable. The core began to pulse faster. Shadows rose from the floor. Figures formed. Karn, Trinary, even old human shapes. All illusions, all attacks. But this time, the humans were ready. Mara's team opened fire. Bullets tore through illusions. Energy blades cut through the dark. Every soldier moved with speed and fury. No fear, no mercy. One by one, they reached the bomb. Reyes slammed the activation code. The face screamed. The core cracked. And then, light. Not fire, not heat, just truth. The bomb exploded in a wave of white energy, silent but powerful. The shadows burned. The illusions fell. And the core shattered. Back on the ships, the readings changed instantly. Karn fleets stopped moving. Some turned on each other. Some simply shut down. The spell was broken. Rey stood in the ashes of the core, breathing hard. His armor was cracked, but he was alive. He looked at the broken pieces of the ancient parasite and said quietly, "Burn this silence." The fleet returned days later to the Trinary homeworld. The skies were clear. No more shadows. The people cheered. But the humans didn't stay. They had no interest in parades, no desire for thanks. Their ships lifted silently, heading home. Before leaving, one Trinary elder asked Reyes, "Why do you help if you ask for nothing?" Reyes looked at the stars. "Because we know what it's like to be alone. And we know what happens when no one answers the call." The elder bowed. And the humans disappeared into the stars. But one message echoed across the galaxy. The Deathworlders came. They saw the darkness. And they burned it. The silence was gone. After the humans destroyed the Shadow Core, the Karn fleets collapsed. Battles across the stars stopped. Some ships powered down completely. Others turned and ran, like wild animals suddenly free from a cage. For the first time in years, the galaxy felt peace. But peace is not always quiet. Now, everyone was watching Earth. The Trinary praised the humans. They called them saviors, protectors, heroes of the light. But many other species were not so sure. The Galactic Council met in secret chambers. Representatives from peaceful worlds, trade alliances, and science guilds sat in silence, watching recordings of the human assault on the Shadow Planet. They saw fire. death, fury. And they saw how fast Earth acted, how quickly they built weapons made for destruction, weapons even the Council had banned. "These are not heroes," one counselor said. "They are weapons with legs. They saved a race from extinction," another replied. "And they asked for nothing. They asked for nothing this time." Behind every kind word was fear. Earth had changed the game. On board the human ship Hammerfall, Commander Reyes read the Council's message with a cold expression. He handed it to Mara. "We request Earth submit to weapons checks, technology sharing, and full military oversight," she read aloud. Then she looked up. "So, they're scared." "Very," Reyes said. Mara leaned back. "We should have expected this. We showed them what we're capable of. We had no choice. Doesn't matter. Now they see us as a threat." Back on the Trinary homeworld, the people were rebuilding. Cities were rising again. Children laughed. For the first time in generations, they looked up at the stars without fear. But even here, rumors spread. Some whispered that the humans had awoken something even worse. Others feared that Earth's rage might one day turn on them. A group of Trinary leaders visited the humans in private. "Your help saved our world," their speaker said. "But some of our people now wonder if you are too strong, too dangerous." Reyes listened calmly. Mara spoke softly. "We don't want your world. We didn't come for power. We came because someone asked for help, and no one else answered." The Trinary nodded, but worry still remained in their eyes. Back on Earth, news of the victory spread fast. Some humans celebrated. Others were quiet, thinking about what it meant. In secret labs, scientists studied what was left of the shadow core, strange particles, unknown energy types, and traces of thought, not from the Karn, but from something older. One AI researcher stared at the readings and said, "This wasn't the only one." On a distant asteroid, a probe picked up a faint signal. Very weak, very old, a shadow whispering through the void. It used no language, just emotion. Hunger. Back in the fleet, Reyes received the message. Mara stood beside him. "Another one." He nodded. "Maybe more." So it wasn't just one parasite. No, it was one voice in a choir. They both went quiet. Finally, Mara asked, "Do we warn the galaxy?" Reyes stared at the stars. "They already fear us. What happens when we tell them the war isn't over?" Mara shook her head. "Then they might turn on us. Or they might unite. Or both." Reyes looked at her. "Then we prepare for both." He activated a command code, Project Iron Flame. The order went out to Earth's hidden colonies, secret builders, and deep space stations. New ships, new weapons, not for conquering, for surviving, for fighting what comes next. Back on the Trinary world, a monument was built. It showed a human soldier holding a torch, standing between two walls, one of darkness, one of light. Beneath it, the words were simple. They came in fury. They stood in fire. They held the line. But in the shadows, not everyone celebrated. Some powerful races began building new fleets, not to help Earth, but to watch it, to stop it if needed. The humans had become more than just warriors. They had become a question the galaxy didn't know how to answer. Back in orbit, Mara watched Earth from the window of their ship. "We were never meant to lead," she said quietly. Reyes joined her. "No, but we were built to survive. And what if survival means war again?" Reyes looked out, eyes hard. "Then we answer the same way we always have, with fire." The stars flickered in the distance. Somewhere out there, another whisper waited. Another silence to burn. Another ancient voice ready to return. And the galaxy would once again call the Deathworlders. The stars had changed. Where once the galaxy saw Earth as wild and backward, now they saw something else. Power, fire, and something harder to name. Will. The humans had answered a desperate call for help. They fought an ancient darkness, broke its grip, and burned its silence. But what they left behind was more than ashes. They left questions, fear, and respect. Now, the galaxy watched. Would Earth take command? Would they build an empire? Would they become monsters like the shadows they destroyed? Commander Reyes stood aboard Earth's orbiting command station, resolute dawn, looking down at the blue planet below. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. Behind him, Mara entered, holding a new report. "Another council vote," she said. "They want us to submit our military technology for review." Again. Reyes sighed. "They fear what we might do. They fear what we can do." Reyes turned to her. "Maybe they should." But Mara shook her head. "We didn't come to scare the galaxy. We came to protect it, to prove that humans could be more than just survivors." Reyes nodded slowly. "And we did. But now, every species is wondering the same thing. What happens after the fire?" All across the galaxy, debates rage. Some species wanted Earth to lead, to form a new alliance, stronger and braver than the Council. Others wanted Earth contained, monitored, controlled, or even isolated. Too dangerous, too unpredictable. On one distant world, a group of young scholars studied human history. They called Earth a death world not just of danger, but of meaning. They saw humanity's endless struggle through war, storms, hunger, and loss, and saw something rare, hope that refused to die. One young alien girl stood before her class and said, "They are terrifying, but when no one else stood, they did. And maybe that's what heroes look like." Back on Earth, millions watched a live broadcast. The United Earth Council was meeting with the Galactic High Assembly. For the first time, the entire galaxy would hear Earth's voice in peace. Commander Reyes walked onto the stage,